Hey, how's it going, YouTube? My name's Atadiar, and I'm going to be giving you a new player's information video coming from a new player of Herosiege. This is my first season playing Herosiege. This is going to be season 6. I picked up the game the day that the season launched. I've put in a number of hours that I don't want to admit publicly. It was 200 a couple days ago. So I've played a lot. And I just wanted to give you like some very basic things that you as a new player probably don't know, but probably should know coming into Herosiege. These are going to be things that are going to be, that'll be true across all classes and characters. So don't worry about any like specific things like that. Let me just go ahead and dive straight into this. Right now I'm on a newly built character, just the EXO, and I just want to use her to showcase a couple of things for you. The first thing I want to go over is your character, your trees, your augments, and your relics. I think these are going to be very important things for you to know. The first thing to know, on your character, you have 2 trees available to you at the start. You can freely switch between these trees at any point in time. You can reset your attributes on any tree for 0 gold at all times. And you can reset your skills. I'm level 100, and at level 100, it cost me 1,000 gold to do so. I promise you this cost here to reset your skills is going to be completely negligible starting from like level 5, level 10. Just pick up a couple things and vendor them, and you'll be able to respec, even if you like, it will not be a problem for you. So feel free, and I honestly do encourage this, to play around with the skills. Just it'll let you figure out what you want to play, what you have a feel for, and the cost really isn't even a cost. I've never once a single time noticed the amount of gold that it cost me to press that button, and I've pressed that button like 5 to 10 times going into some of the act bosses, just trying things out. So do experiment away. It's there, do it. What I would recommend is having a tree that you're using to clear through the game, and then maybe setting up a secondary tree while you're going through your campaign and have that be focused on your single target. That way you can swap between your clear and your boss trees. Now, going a bit further into skills, every 5 levels that you obtain, you will get 1 point that you can put into your skills that have this box on them. Not all skills will have this box, but most of them do. So here for my solar flare, for instance, let's go ahead and pull this open. You can see that I've got points in it. I've got 2 points here, 5 points, 5 points, 5 points, and then 3 in this big node. This is how this works. You get 1 point every 5 levels. You have to put 2 points into a node to move past it onto the next node. You can, and then you of course can see the max. Typically the max is 5, not always though. There are a couple nodes that do not have a max of 5. They have a max of like 2. And then there's one that has like a max of 8, but those are special cases. The larger nodes, these augment your abilities and make them do and perform differently. They vastly change the way that your skills work. So for example, right now, if I press my solar flare, you can see that I'm shooting off a bunch of different abilities or a bunch of different projectiles. But if I go back into my tree and I change that to say solar orbs, that same skill is now summoning 3 stationary orbs that are shooting out projectiles. These large augment nodes you get at set levels. You will get your first point at level 60. You will get your second point at level 80, and you will get your third and final point once you reach level 100. Even that first point is very, very game changing. And honestly, it completely changes the game for you. Honestly, it can take a skill from terrible to amazing just like that. And then there's some that just don't really do much. Balance is balance. Lastly, talking about the character, I do want to just go into relics. Relics are very important items to your build. They stack up to 10 times, so you can find one, and when you find a duplicate, you will add a copy to it. You can see here for my Triforce, I have 7 copies. My Holy Grail has 8, my Lost Wand has 9, and my Holy Bible has 6. Their effects scale up as you get copies up to 10. So for example, the Holy Bible, when I first got it at level 1, all it provided to me was +1 to all attributes. At level 5, it gained +1 to all skills. And at level 10, it's going to gain an additional +1 to all skills. If you do not want a relic and you accidentally pick it up, you can just simply click on it. You can simply right click on it and it'll give you the option to delete it. I would suggest deleting any relics that you accidentally pick up that you're either not going to use or just don't work for what you're doing, because the relics you have equipped do influence slightly the relics that drop. So if you have a relic equipped, you are more likely to see it drop compared to a relic that you do not have equipped. So just keep that in mind. Also, you can get relics early on. Like you can get a relic at the very start of the game that will, like, it'll kind of carry you. I can actually show you an example of this. Let me hop over to a low level character of mine. Let's go with the Marauder. Okay. He actually has a relic called Classical Tunes. And I have it on, I can put it on my bar. And if I go out and I try to fight, I can use the ability. Not all relic abilities are created equally. Some of them are very good and can very much carry you through the campaign as your main ability. Especially early on. Like as you progress through the campaign, it'll get a little bit weaker, but you know. See that? Here, let me turn up the volume just so you can kind of hear it a bit, because I do have the volume a bit low. So that's the classical tunes from that ability. Here, let me run over to a pack just to show you what it's like. This is definitely not one of the good ones. That delay is a bit rough, but it's kind of hilarious. Anyway, all right. And then let me hop back over to the EXO because she has a couple other things that I would like to show you. There are some intricacies to the way that damage works in this game, and I do want to just make sure that you're aware of them because they are not very apparent. I will use this ruby to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. You have additive damage and you have flat damage to skills. Flat damage to skills only affects spells. Additive damage only affects attacks. Additive damage does not work for spells. Skill damage does not work for attacks. That's not how they work. So just be aware of that. Don't pick up, like, if you're playing a spellcaster, don't get a bunch of additive damage on like your charms or anything and think that's going to be doing anything for you. It is not. Same for if you're playing an attack build or a strike build or like a build that hits with a weapon. Additive damage is what you want. Skill damage is not what you want. Speaking of, when you have your character, let's say we'll use Solar Flare again, you can see that you get bonuses from the points that you have in other skills. So for example, if I have Solar Burst, which is this one here, for each point here, my Solar Flare will get 15% increased damage. This is an increased, this is increased, not a multiplier. So if you're familiar with those terms from other ARPGs, this is an increase in damage. Intelligence is also an increase. So you see I have 614 intelligence. That means that Solar Flare is getting 7.25 times 614% increased damage. Okay, so that's all increased damage. However, these specific skill damages, so cold skill damage, for example, and magic skill damage, these are multipliers. They are very strong. There are also other multipliers in the game, like damage to frozen or damage to bleeding or things like that. Those are individual multipliers that will multiply on top of your skill damage multipliers. They are very strong. For your attacks are going to take this number, which is going to be all of your additive damage and your physical damage, and then it's going to multiply it by the attack damage percent that's listed on the skill. I don't have an attack to show you that with on this character. I apologize. But essentially what it would say here is it would say like maybe it would have like some damage and then it would have like attack damage and attack rating. The attack damage is what would be the multiplier for that. There is a very stark difference between attacks and spells in that attacks can critically strike and get critical damage bonuses. Spells inherently cannot. There is a special thing that you can augment onto your chest, which is a late game thing that you can do that will give you the ability to scale your spells with crit and crit damage. However, without that, crit damage do not work for spells at all. If you have an augment or if you have a point on a skill, for example, this point here, it gives me critical strike chance and critical strike damage for this spell. That cannot be scaled. That is a static number. Again, so the only way to scale spells with critical strike chance and critical strike damage is to get the augment on your chest. Otherwise, it does nothing for you. So just keep that in mind. And then the last thing I want to talk about as a new player, you're going to need money. You're going to need gold. You're going to want to be able to buy things from the auction house. And it's the best way to progress your character. Before we get into the last little bit of this, if you've enjoyed the video, maybe consider liking the video and throwing a sub on the channel. I'm currently working toward my goal of my first 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. We just need one last little push, and maybe you could help with that. Thank you very much. Now let's go. First thing you can do is mining. You see I have a mining right now of 2,464. Mining is very, very simple. All you have to do is you go out into the world. I'm going out into the old mining zone just to give you a quick example of that. Okay, here we go. These little tree looking things that are on the screen right now. So the icon are these little tree looking things, and then you just come up to it, you click it, and you mine it. There is a number on each of these. So 750 for the jade, for example. You need 750 mining to be able to mine that. Ruby is 500, gold is 225. The highest level that you need to mine everything in the game is going to be 1,000. Mining is a great option for making money when you're first starting out. It's something that you can do passively. It's something that you can choose to focus on and just solely do. And it is a nice way to make a little bit of money early on when you really don't have any avenues of making money. The ore here, so I have the jade ore here. You can sell this on the auction house as is, or you can try to prospect it and look for a jackpot. So you can come up here to the prospector right here. You'll have a prospector in every town. You just place the ore in and press prospect and you'll get some items back, right? For the jade, you'll get this powder here, which is like 500,000 gold, which is a decent amount of money. And then for the other ore, I don't think I have any. The blue ore called Terethium, they have cores that are about a million. It's only like a 1% chance to get that though. So yes, you can roll the dice and try to get those. You can also just sell your ores and your prospected items on the auction house for other players to buy. Number two, in regard to making money, do not hoard, do not undervalue the things that you have in your inventory. There are many things that you will pick up that are going to be worth money. Many of the materials are going to be worth money for players. Things like sheep pelts. These are items that you can pick up that are used for a entry into like a different zone that are worth money. Keys are keys right here. You just find these passively while you're farming anything. These are used by players farming glyphs, which are late game items. They will be buying lots of them. You can sell these on the auction house for a decent chunk. Each key is going to be worth a little bit differently because dungeons are not created equally. However, this is a ton of money that a lot of people will just sit on. Don't sit on it, sell it. If you don't have a use for it right now, sell it. If you don't know what a glyph is and you're not ready for glyphs and you're not like pushing late game, sell the keys. Get your money, get your upgrades. Upgrades on your character are better than keys running in your inventory or materials running in your inventory. Stop hoarding, make some money. All right, and then lastly, going back to the prospector, there's one more thing I want to show you. all of these, you'll find a lot of satanic and set items that really don't have any value. And what you can do is you can just load them into the prospector, and you don't have to drag them. You can just, control click them. You hit prospect, you'll get satanic crystal fragments. Every time you get 500 of these crystal fragments, you can come over to the crafting bench, and it'll have an option here, which is not highlighted because I don't have 500 yet. But if you have enough, this right here, satanic crystals, this would appear up here, and you could craft out a satanic crystal. These satanic crystals are easy money and they're easy to sell. I can actually show you just how much they are right now, just for vendoring and breaking down trash items. So a satanic crystal right now, we're going to sort by unit price because it's a stackable item. A satanic crystal is worth 150,000 gold, right? And you get that just by breaking down trash that you don't need, that's constantly dropping. Just to show you an example of like things that can drop you, like these satanic dice are worth a good chunk. This is just a random item that drops on the ground. Sort it by unit price. I apologize for the music, by the way. Look at that. 4 million gold, 2.5 there, 3.9, 3.9, 4, like a lot of money. We've got the ore here. I can actually show you some of the keys as well. So here, I will show you smelly cheese because that's it. I love that dungeon. So you just come in here, you type smelly cheese, sort by unit price, 400,000 gold. And like I said, keys, the keys vary based on how good the dungeon is. So just know that that's a lot of money. Also, you'll have like, there's other keys that I don't have called angelic and bifrost keys. Those are worth a good chunk of money, but you find those a bit less, they're a bit more on the rare side. So example, the bifrost key, if you find one of those currently on the market, a bifrost key is 2.75 million, and an angelic key there you go, 2.5, 2.6, 2.6. So multiple millions for those keys. They are much more rare, however, so be aware of that. Let me pop out of here just as the background music is a little loud. So just be aware of that. Like there's a ton of things that you find as you're playing the game that have value to other players that you are not going to currently use, you're not ready to use. So just don't be afraid to sell things that you're just sitting on to flesh out your character, progress the game, and make everything more fun for yourself. I think that's the nitty gritty of the things that I think I would want to have known as a new player. Do not get discouraged while leveling. Things in this game hit very hard. So maybe that was a pointer I should have put at the beginning. There's a lot of damage in this game. You'll notice it pretty early. Things hit hard. So just take it slow, get a feel for it. Don't be afraid to put all your points in vitality while you're leveling, because I sure do that now. And yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully you enjoy your time with Herosiege. I've honestly been loving this game. I think it is going to be probably something I add to my standard ARPG rotation. And I hope that you all enjoy it as well. I'm Adiar. Bye-bye.